Okay, we're the meeting is starting.
Jefferson County citizens on.
It's 8:30 and it's October the 2nd. I'm glad we made it to October. Haven't made it to the cool weather yet, but anyway, I'd like to call this meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is public comments, and I'm going to ask, are there any public comments? Are there any public comments? Are there any public comments? Hearing none, I'd like to acknowledge the minutes from what, September 25th, September 27th. Yeah, I think that's it. Stanquist made a motion. I will second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion passed. Next item is to meet with the county engineer. Still you.
That is still me. Good morning, supervisors. Hope everybody had a decent weekend. See, we are done with all of our chip seal and auto seal work on the roads in Jefferson County. There's still some dust on Nutmeg, and there will be till it rains a few times to wash the residual dust off of the surface. And we also had some good bleeding up for the south end of that because the truck traffic gets funneled through that underpass, so there's more compaction there, forces that oil up into the surface. So we added some chips onto that last week to block that, which is good. We want it to do that. That allows us to put more stone in there and build the structure of the road bed. The north end of Juniper is getting quite a bit of rock pushed off to the edges, so we'll be grooming that back into the center this week to allow the quarry traffic to work that into the base as well. And then either the end of this week or next week, we'll broom the loose aggregate off of those and salvage that for our future use, because it should be, once the temperatures cool down, you won't get any additional embedment into the binder. So we'll salvage that rock, so we're not pushing that off into the ditch, and we have it for whatever we might want it for in the future. We're still working on edge rut on Salina Road. We should finish that today. Have that all put to bed for the winter. Then we've got a bunch of patching yet to do on some of the other pavements in the road, so the guy or in the county, so the guys will be out with the total patch. You're working on that. We're doing our hearing test today, so we kind of keep a baseline up for the guys.
So how do you do that?
Can you hear me now?
No. La, la, la.
Yeah.
Do they go somewhere?
No, we did some research, and in the past, the county has had somebody come in with a hearing truck, and that's quite pricey. And one of the vendors has remote units that they will ship to us. It's basically a computer with headphones and a pad that you hit right, left.
Interesting.
So we've got 2 of those, and it's, I don't know, I think they have the hearing truck come. It's in the neighborhood of 5,000 to 6,000, and doing the mail-in units, it's about 3,000. So it saves a little money. And
how often do you do that?
We're supposed to do it every year, which we haven't done it since I got here, so we're a bit behind. But the idea is to set a baseline so that we can tell if the employees are having any issues. And it also helps remind them that they're supposed to be using their PPE, especially the which we have them available. It's ridiculous not to use them, even though some people don't like them because they're uncomfortable or they don't look cool. I don't know.
But they need to use them.
Yeah.
So, and I ask you a question. Is this cost per individual that you test, or is it just
It's basically you rent the unit for a week. And
So you could have done us. Our hearing.
No, I don't think we could have, no.
We might want to check our hearings. Just saying.
Yeah,
I see her lips moving, but I don't hear a word.
I know that. I know that.
It's a different, never mind, I won't say it.
I'll look into that next year,
Yeah,
see if we can add supervisory personnel at no extra charge.
there you go.
Our back room is free of ambulance gear and quite clean. Thank you,
Yay.
guys.
Thank you.
It looks as good as before they moved in, so
Nice.
it was a successful joint venture,
Good.
so.
Hey, and thanks for doing that today.
Yeah,
Yes, we appreciate
We
it.
just moved it from your place to our place and made a pile.
It's okay, it's your pile now. I don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
very good.
At the end of this week, I will be in Cedar Falls at the Roadside Vegetation Management
Okay.
Conference. So they have, because we've never sent anybody, we get a free admission to that, so I figured since our weed commissioner is leaving us, I thought I probably ought to
Good.
at least find out if there's anything I need to know above the fact that grass is green and
Thanks for
weeds are
stepping
too.
up.
Thank you for being proactive.
You know. Haven't said I'm gonna do anything yet, but I'm gonna go.
Hey,
Other than that, I turn in the check plans for 1/10 tomorrow. And I think we've got that pretty well laid out for it, so. I'm sure there are things that I did wrong, they seem to find. But
Yeah.
But we're on schedule on that, and that is for assuming that Congress approves the appropriation, we are set for a February letting.
Okay.
And if they reduce the appropriation, then we'll deal with that as it comes up.
Uh-huh.
do we need to have an in-depth conversation about funding that at some point soon?
No, because that will be, oh, we got that set up. That is 80% federal, and then the 20% match will come out of our farm to market account. So we will not use local money for that project,
Okay.
because we can't afford to. I mean, that's, our match on that 600,000, 625,000.
That's still a chunk of money.
That's 2/3 of our farm to market for next year.
So was there, I realize the behind the scenes challenges, however, since money's money,
Mhm.
does it make sense to chip seal that thing at all? They just put it in this path.
Let's see what they approve.
Okay.
Worry about that as we go forward. The big expense and if we're going to improve it, let's do it right and get the base stabilized. And the surface isn't as critical. And I'm sure the residents up there would be much happier with the asphalt pavement that we've got designed in. And pretty much if they approve the grant, we're locked into it. But if they mess with the funding and cut it by 1/3 or something, then we have to change our scope to make that work. Because we can't just make up the difference.
So what do we do then in the event that they don't fund it at all?
Then it goes back to being our chip seal program,
But it will still be done next construction season.
maybe.
That's why we had it in that conversation.
I know, but the last conversation we had, the residents expected it to be done this coming construction season. So we need to be,
Well, it could be done now. But they wanted us to go for this grant, so.
I get that, I understand that. I'm just saying that
Good point.
Anything else you'd like to tell us?
They are working on Quince Crossing as of Friday. So let's all be happy about that.
Other than that, I think that covers everything I have, folks.
Okay, next item on the agenda is discuss, consider weed commissioner.
So do I hear that there be potential from the secondary road department for that?
Well, what are the duties of a weed commissioner?
It's very
That's a
minimal.
really good idea. It's a really good question.
Because
I don't think they do.
if it's in the right of way, I have no problem managing the weeds. We do that now anyway. We have employees that are trained for, we have one guy who has a side business seeding, and we've got 3 or 4 employees that are certified for spraying.
So the way that it has worked in the past, once we brought on a quote weed commissioner, was one, they do the announcement on the radio or whatever, the ad in the newspaper, but he was driving down the road to a septic system or someone called in or whatever. He was to view the property, but it was always the property owner's responsibility to eradicate the problem. Even in the right of way, it's the property owner's responsibility. Now, if he chose not to do that, that's fine, but the weeds, whatever you call the noxious weeds, the ones that are supposed to be removed, property owner is to be notified via like a certified letter that they have such and such a date or time that those weeds have to be eradicated. Failure to do that would obviously require, in Dan's case, to hire somebody to do it and bill the property owner, but in most cases, the property owner takes care of it. But he never actively went out and drove by Joe Ledger's house and said, or drove by Damien's house, or, I mean, he didn't go actively looking, but if he received a complaint or if it was something that he noticed on his way to a waste disposal system inspection, then he would bring it to the property owner's attention. But essentially, that's basically what it is.
And I think we've typically budgeted, what, $3,000? It's very
that's
minimal. And a very minimal part of the job.
And honestly, I don't know that if he ever notified anybody of any weeds because,
Yeah.
you know, we never, but there wasn't any active weed removal on his part. It was always left up to or required by the property owner to eradicate the weeds.
So the assistant county attorney could be the weed commissioner.
She's probably not driving the county roads as much as you
But
are,
I could be.
but theoretically, yes.
So basically, we could start now and do a better job this time around.
Oh,
And
sure, throw
obviously,
the responsibility card at me.
Well, I've always figured that, you know, with our road crews out there, if they notice something, now they could notify Melissa the address if she sends a letter.
Mhm.
And then the property owner is responsible to eradicate the weeds. And since we've got 7 routes or 8 routes, I don't, 7 routes, you know, you're along that route.
So,
But it's never been the responsibility of the county to eliminate the problem, just to notify the property owner of the problem.
so Lee, do I hear you say that the roads department probably could do this if they would just, there'd be a new process where they would notify and a letter would be sent? As simple as that.
Yeah.
And they would get the extra 3,000 or 2,000, I'm thinking.
3, I'm thinking 3 is a good number. Not as good as 30, but better than nothing.
Well, I would make a motion that we let the roads department incorporate the weed commissioner
Second,
in his, in the job.
Discussion.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Would ask that, and I'm sure you would have done this anyway, but Dan's got a dates and a list and all of that stuff. I don't know that he ever went by, but I know he has it. And to pass that on to you so that,
and get a copy of, there's a standard form every year. Shannon would have a copy. Goes on our agenda and we approve a.
to put in the newspaper or on the radio or whatever.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks for coming today.
Congratulations. A
You
new
know, I
thing
do
for your
think-
resume.
But you know, I do think that's a good thing. They're right there anyway, going by, you know?
And we do a lot of that stuff around the bridges where.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for coming. You might stick around in case there's something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Next item, discussing and consider the water line repair next to the county attorney's office.
So I know you have reached back out to Bob Brown, I know Dave did.
Yeah,
Um,
I have not heard back from Bobby.
The city contacted me last week, that's the reason I put this
Okay.
on.
Who at the city? I'm just curious.
Give me the name, I know it if you could tell me, in charge of it.
Doug Rainier,
No,
Melanie Carlson?
Melanie Carlson.
Oh, you mean of the streets?
yeah.
Oh, Joe Hurd.
Is he in charge now since this goes?
Anyway, maybe somebody from the water department actually, but wanted to know what the status was on it. I said, well, we had been looking, and I did talk to Dave, and you know, in the long run, at this point in time, we need to get it fixed. But the other thing is that I'm asking you this in the form of a question. If we go ahead and ask the city to do it, and then if they screw it up, it becomes the city's problem. I'm not saying that they screw it up, that's not what I'm saying. But if we hire an outside contractor, then the hassle of getting them back if there's an issue or whatever the case may be.
So I think I hear you saying you'd rather have the city do it because we keep it all right
Well,
here.
we run into kind of the same problem, and no disrespect to anybody out there because we're kind of Johnny come lately. We kind of have evidently run into the same problem that we ran into with our ambulance space, that everybody had all of this work already scheduled, and so trying to squeeze us in between jobs has become problematic. And when I talked to Bob, because I called him, he said he was going to get with Dave that afternoon after lunch. Whether that happened or not, I don't know, but he never did submit a cost.
Yeah,
So at this point, we're fast approaching winter, as much as I hate to say that. But,
it's kind of hard to say that on the day it's gonna be 91.
well, yeah,
You know.
I'm perfectly okay with 91
Yeah.
all winter long. So,
Well, just
But-
wait.
Enjoy the next 2 days. That'll be the last time.
Yeah, probably. So I just was asking the board if we wanted to reach out to the city or have Dave reach out to the city.
I would have Dave reach out to the city. Yeah, and we can table this and talk about it later.
Okay.
Okay. Discuss and consider potential tax abatement for Jackson Point.
So we had a meeting last Tuesday night, I think it was, here with myself, Chauncey, Sandy, Sean Morrissey, Gina Edwards, and Becky.
Schmitz.
Yes, and we discussed our options. We are going to reach back out. Chauncey was going to reach back out to Jesse Burns of Keyway Management before we pursued any other potential suitors. And in the process, one of the things that Mr. Burns had indicated early on in our conversation, back at the very beginning of this, was the property tax. And there's Chauncey. And so the property tax round figures is, I think, around $6,200 a year. And so and I say potential because we're not at that point yet, but for the board to consider or indicate to Chauncey that the board would be willing to abate those taxes if that was a requirement to keep Keyway or bring on another management company.
Is there anywhere that it specifically states this is for a certain population that it serves, so that it always serves this population? So if we abate the taxes and they say, oh, we're gonna make it into high-end apartments, follow me?
Right. It was certainly the intent. I'm not sure if there's a mandate, but as far as the percentage of those apartments that need to go to either low income or disabled individuals. I certainly think that is what Keyway specializes in, and it's kind of generally their focus. But having some kind of rider on that to state
Yeah.
that, you know, we can rescind this if it changes might not be a bad idea. And certainly tax abatement is something that comes up every year. So if they change their policies, that's certainly up to you guys, but,
I just think we need something in writing. It can be an MOU, something, it doesn't have to be elaborate.
yeah.
That says this is the intent.
And I don't know that the tax abatement is the sticking point for them, but it would certainly make their
Right.
decision easier.
And they specifically mentioned it in the first conversations that Sean and I had when PNC wanted to extricate themselves from the partnership. One of the other things that we found out in the process, thanks to Sandy, because Sandy has done a lot of legwork on this as well. Lee County went through a similar situation that included PNC, and I'm not sure if one of Jesse's companies was in as the management company, but anyway, that partnership dissolved as well when PNC got, you know, which is the process that takes place. And the county looked to selling that, and there were some issues, and I don't know if Lee County is exactly the same as us or vice versa, but there was still a 35-year window on that property to maintain it for a specific use. So there is that you know, as well. So
In that circumstance, Lee County ended up owning that property and managing it, which I think it's fair to say is not the intent of
Right.
or here. So
Right.
we, to the extent we can avoid that outcome, I think it would be in everybody's interest.
But if we could say to Chauncey that this is an option that we would be more than willing to consider if it became a sticking point, or if that was
So do we need a motion or just our?
I think it's just bringing that to the board's attention that if I can kind of use that as part of the negotiating pool, it would probably more incentivize Keyway to stay on board, which frankly, we've never heard any complaints about them. I think it would be a good partner to stay connected with.
Well, I'm okay abating it as long as we just have something in writing that says it continues to serve
Yes,
this
ma'am.
population.
But if it doesn't continue to serve it, I am not for the.
Correct.
And that would be something you would have the opportunity to cure every year when you abate the taxes.
Okay.
I'll keep that in mind with Keyway. Thanks.
Okay. So we're not gonna deal with that to this morning, okay?
Yeah.
We have time to do that. Moving on, discuss and consider the selling of 2014 Chevy Equinox.
Sandy's on.
Sandy, we're talking about selling the county car that you drive. And I wonder if you have any comments.
Well, it's been a good resource to have. I'm not sure why you would consider selling it when there's a lot of back and forth efforts needed for mental health issues.
Sure.
And it's been voted on twice in the past. I'm just confused why it would be brought up yet a third time.
I think it's because we have a new insurance.
Well, I think the issue is, and has been an issue in the past, and I personally still think it's an issue, is, you know, the liability. And I know that the circumstances are somewhat muddled, and I don't mean that in any personal context. It's just, you know, with the state taking over the funding, with the region doing what the region's doing, the pass-throughs. Personally, I would love to see the region take ownership of the vehicle and be done with it. I don't think that we're out to look to make a huge profit or anything of the nature. I think we're just looking to absolve ourselves of any potential liability. There's a lot of gray areas, and I specifically asked Joe Benz on, when did we meet? Wednesday at the department head meeting. And I specifically said to him, I said, you know, because you're going to come back at some point if something does happen, and then the insurance company is going to throw up their hands and they're going to say, not a county employee. And he would not answer that question. And that gives me pause for concern.
Yeah.
And so I think what we need to do is, and I don't know how the board would necessarily feel about this, but I wouldn't even necessarily be opposed if, I mean, I get selling it, it's an asset and we can, you know, I don't know how much money we'd get out of it. I don't know that it'd make or break us one way or the other, but I would even be willing to consider if the board would just to deed it over to the region.
But the region doesn't want to own any assets, correct?
The region doesn't want to own resources. And as long as I'm a Jefferson County employee, which I am, that's why the vehicle has stayed with the county. There's tons of cars. There's now 13 counties, and there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 cars floating around in the region now, all owned by various counties. And they don't have a problem with it. I personally am opposed to moving forward. I just feel comfortable where things are at, of course, and it's actually been this way since I started as a CPC.
Sandy, can I ask you a question? And
Yes.
I wasn't here for this, but prior to this 2014 vehicle, did the county have another vehicle that you drove?
Yes,
And
yes,
did the
it
county pay
was,
for that vehicle?
our mental health funds paid for it. Our mental health funds paid for the current one, and our mental health funds paid for the previous one.
I didn't catch that.
Thanks for answering that.
Sandy, I was just curious, do you have access to fleet vehicles through DAS through the state via the region?
I couldn't quite understand that. It was muffled.
Can you access Department of Administrative Services vehicles, the fleet vehicles through the state because you're part of the region?
No,
Okay.
Well, I still think that this needs, I don't know if I want to say further exploration, but
Wasn't Joe going to do a little research on it, or did he pretty much say he felt uncomfortable with it?
well, he wouldn't answer the question.
Yeah, I know.
And that's problematic when your insurance company won't answer your question.
So
Because at
Lee,
some point, it's gonna bite you.
do I hear you say we should table this until we hear from Joe a definite answer?
Well, at the very least, and then that might also give Chauncey an opportunity to do a little more research on our circumstances.
Okay. We'll move on. Sandy, thanks for your comments.
well, thanks for allowing it to remain where it's at.
Next item is to discuss and consider the Nathan Harriman property.
So I drove by him in the last week sometime. And I've not had, this will be news to Dwayne, because I did not contact him. But he's got junk in the right of way now. And so I put it on the agenda. I didn't specifically put it on as a nuisance issue. And then I did have subsequent conversation with Elizabeth and Chauncey about the circumstances surrounding that property that they're pursuing. But I guess I'm gonna throw the ball over to Chauncey, but I do think that property, that junk needs to be moved out of the right of way.
Well, it's the county's right of way. The county can move things out of the right of way. As far as the nuisance issue, that nuisance has already been abated, and I'll let Elizabeth take point on this, but we already have all of that squared away. I don't know that we would want to revisit that process.
After the conversation that we had, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, it was abated and the abatement costs are assessed to his taxes, and then he still is, we're working with him to pay some of the court costs associated with that, some of the civil infraction fines. So that is an ongoing process, and but certainly the county has every right to move vehicles or property that is in the right of way.
Do we have an address?
Yeah, it's on Old 34 west of town, on the south side
That
of
is
the
so
road.
helpful.
The property with this, with the junk and the right of way.
I can give you one too.
So, it is 9 AM and it is time to start a public hearing. Can we come back to this?
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Right,
Aye.
and this is on the road reclassification of 200th Street.
Yes. Whereas Jefferson County has received a request to reclassify a portion of 200th Street from Service Area B classification to Service Area A classification, and to have rock servicing placed thereon. Whereas Jefferson County, under consultation with the county engineer, that's you, has the authority to specify certain roads, whereas the county as Service Area A roads pursuant to Iowa Code 309.57, and whereas the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors have established Jefferson County Code of Ordinances, chapters 6 through 20, for the purpose of settling regulations to govern the improvement of dirt roads prior to the placement of rock surfacing thereon. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County that this county does hereby establish the described road as Service Area A road, subject to the remaining property owner, the requesting property owner, performing the applicable landowner responsibilities as set forth in said ordinance, including payment of rock servicing and transfer of sufficient right-of-way. Road description: a 600-foot section of Jefferson County Road named 200th Street, 1440 200th Street, Batavia, Iowa. Dwayne, do you have any comments here?
This is a stretch of road that runs between the landowner's residential driveway, a 1/10 of a mile more or less to the west to where his outbuildings are. So it allows him all-weather access to his property. I'm not quite sure why, when they made that a level B, they stopped at his house and didn't include this, that next little stretch. It makes perfect sense. The landowner is agreeable to paying the fees. So I think it is a good use of county time and resources to upgrade this road. And I'm somewhat
You got a babysitter.
curious as to why it wasn't left at level A 15, 20 years ago, other than I think the property has changed owners and the new owners probably using those outbuildings more than the previous owner did.
Thank you.
But this also reduces
Yeah.
mud being tracked onto the level A road and subsequently on the Backwood Road. So it's kind of a housekeeping issue as well to increase that rock length.
Do we need to close public hearing?
No, we have to ask for public comments.
Oh.
Are there any public comments on Zoom? Any public comments in the room? Hearing none. We will close the public hearing if I have a motion.
So,
Second?
All those in favor?
I,
Aye, motion passed. So consider the resolution of road reclassification on 200th Street. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
second.
Motion by Sanquist, second by Dimmitt. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Thank you very much. Public hearing is closed. Next thing on our agenda is to, let me see, discuss and consider ribbon cutting at 1900 West Burlington. I personally, I know you have feelings about this. I personally feel it's a little too early to do that.
Oh, yeah, no, but I didn't put that on there.
Okay. Because we've still got some painting going on. We've got a possible new counter going in. They still have a lot of things to, I'd like to, at least they've got fire marshal inspection midweek.
Oh, we need to wait till after that.
Yeah, we don't need to be doing stuff like that right now.
Just table it.
So for the good of the county, I think we should table it and talk about it next week. That you guys can tell us what's going on, you know, what you're up to. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let me see, next item is make committee reports. You guys have any committee reports? I know Lee goes all over the place on the fourth Thursday of the month.
Well, didn't go too many
I'm
places.
sure you had a meeting at Hardee's, Mount Pleasant,
did.
and Atoma.
I did, yes, you're right.
I had Area 15, Regional Housing Trust Fund. What else did we have? We had a department head meeting. One thing about regional housing, the same group that did the 11 apartments here are doing Ashbury Heights and Atoma for a housing project.
Good.
Already discussed our meeting for Jackson Point. I thought that went well. I think, and I sent Chauncey 120 pages of stuff that I can't even begin to take.
Lee and I'd heard from a couple of the participants that it went really well.
It did, I think so. So, which is, I mean, it was good. And we'll obviously have to meet some more. The department head meeting that Dee referenced at 10:15 transit. Things are going well. The veterans, again, Jefferson County is just behind Walpole County as far as all the veterans that we transport.
Mhm.
And then we did have I'm on the accident review committee. We did have an accident that was didn't amount to anything, and was kind of a strange deal. The young man was that was driving the vehicle or the pickup was flying at a high rate of speed. Our driver, who never had an accident before, thought it was a four-way stop, started to pull out, realized that it wasn't, and realized that this individual, even if it had been, wasn't going to make the stop sign, and jumped on the binders. And I kid you not, as hard as this is to believe, the bolt, whatever you want to call it, that holds the license plate on our vehicle, hit the rim of the other vehicle. And of course, it happened to be one of those very high dollar wheels. And as the wheel was rotating, as it was going by, it scarred the wheel.
Of course.
Well,
So
of course it did.
we paid the $700 to replace the wheel. But I mean, I don't know. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like that was.
Right. So we, at this particular instance, the action review committee offered, there was no disciplinary action. There was nothing. It just was one of those things. So that's basically all I have. I don't have DCAT this month.
Happy dance.
You know something? I feel bad about that.
Do you? Are you going to call Tammy?
I could.
And I think you could, yeah.
Maybe you need 2 ECIs instead.
Oh. That one, though, we do have an important meeting in ECI coming up that we have to deal with, as I explained about the daycare, so.
And you were at the Board of Health meeting?
I was, yes,
Mhm.
and they're having a meeting this evening. And if I can, I know Joe asked, we talked about, I probably will plan on attending that, but only as an observer or whatever, since I'm on the Rust board. And then that will be up to the Board of Health and Bruce Hudson, our director, to have any conversations. Not saying that they're gonna have any, I'm just saying that's.
Yeah, I sure would hope the Board of Health would listen to all of our opinions, because I've got some different ways I think that should go, but that's neither here nor there right now. So are you done with that?
Yeah.
I had a department head meeting, on Wednesday. It was a whole lot about insurance, which Lee has referred to several times already. On the 29th, I was there. I was there for the ambulance transfer. Chauncey was there. It was very smooth. From what I could see, the rigs were very clean.
They look great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the afternoon, I took care of the title, took it over to the post office and mailed it.
Mhm.
So,
So, when things come together and they're finally done, you look back and you wonder, why were we worried? Of course, then we'll go to sleep and think, oh God, I know why we were worried. But I think it took everyone to do this, and I appreciate everybody's help getting that done. Like I said earlier, we still have a little, with the construction thing, we still have some painting to do. They should be there close to now. Yesterday, Damien had some issues with the air conditioning.
The garage, the AC in the garage,
mhm.
we got back and then everything was good. Doing stuff inside, and then I was taking stuff out to the garage, and all of a sudden it was just holy moly, like I walked outside. And I'm like, what the heck? It was almost 92 degrees in there. So I called Susie, got a Fiedler out,
Mhm.
and then I had a big old brain fart after that. He was able, but the squirrel cage in there, because the whole unit was vibrating really bad and blowing out hot air. So I was like, holy cow, so I just shut it down.
Yeah.
And I called and Isaac came right out, because he knows that we have to have that control. Because 92 degrees was not acceptable. But he was able, he got up there, and there's something still going on with the squirrel cage in there with the blower motor, not the motor, but the blower. But then him and I both had a realization that Roman, or is it Roman, that put that unit in. It actually wasn't Fiedler. I thought it was Fiedler that put it in. I had a brain fart with it. So it should be.
I guess I thought it was them too.
I did
So
too.
who put it in?
Yeah.
Ramon.
He used to work for Happy Land, but I don't know where he works for
Yeah,
now.
he owns his construction company.
So what's his
So-
business name?
So that unit, I mean, is obviously still under warranty.
Yeah.
So we need to get, I don't know if you need to call Steve to get him to come out there.
Yeah, I'll call
because-
Steve. I'll
yeah,
call
'cause
Steve.
I don't.
Because I've only talked to him 3 times today.
Right, yeah, because it's like one of those things, because it could be the vibration that's causing the compressor to not work, but it's working now. He got it to slow down, but he don't know if the equalizer or if there's a weight missing in there, but he didn't want to completely tear into that because there's a lot of stuff that has to come out in order to get that out.
Well, if it's still under warranty, it's best. that you
Right,
didn't do
so,
that.
but see, when they take that out, we may lose one garage door while they do that because the way it's set up.
Mhm.
So
Well, at least you only
we can
need
still
2 of
back
them
in,
right
it's
now.
fine. But yeah, it's working now. We just don't want it to get to that point to where
Sure.
it vibrates so
Sure.
bad it's locking that up. So, and then obviously hot air will start blowing, but then the whole thing is that when we have to transition to heat,
Yeah.
it'll do
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It will.
So I just wanted to let you know that
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
later in
And,
the day, so,
What was the name of that? Ronan?
Ramon.
yeah. I think his parents are the one that owns the hacienda, is it that? It's, yeah, I think it's.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
But
You
it's
know,
working right now, so.
actually, the supervisors make sure the weather is gonna be pretty cool this weekend.
Yes.
We've done that
so-
for you.
91.
Well, yeah,
So that-
I
Not
mean,
this weekend.
This weekend's like in the 60s, so.
Well, 39 for a
Yo,
low.
for the Lord, that's perfect. So, no, it's not, but yeah, no, it'll be good. And then I did have a question. Do you know when they're going to come in and blow insulation in the roof for the garage?
Yeah, he's gotta wait for a few more things are done.
Okay,
Okay.
I just didn't know.
It is,
so-
trust me, it's on his,
Yeah.
he knows.
Yeah, because the access panel was still open, so all the cold air is just going out that in the roof. So
I'll
if they
deal
can
with
come
that.
and close that,
Yeah, pardon me?
if they can come and close that,
Okay,
that'd be great too. So then it would actually help with the AC to stay in. I didn't realize it would.
Well, I'm sure Steve will be on top of this, but
Yeah.
we need to emphasize to Lamar or whomever that that unit is a priority.
yeah, of course we do. And that's the first question we'll ask is if it's under warranty.
Should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I just.
I know it should be, but
Right,
we gotta always ask.
right. Yeah, cause I just turned that on Friday night.
Did you?
Yeah, so then it could get cooled down for inspection.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So,
And then the other thing, the kids over here passed their inspection
yes, we did.
and they were all real excited. Must have been,
Here's the thing for the base, but.
It's exciting.
back.
I'm not even gonna lie.
Good job,
I had it
everybody.
in the garage where.
Did you ever
the
get
Very
inspectors, nobody
stressful
saw
for
me.
a few minutes, but.
Right.
Did you get any sleep?
I've gotten a little bit of sleep, not, I won't say a lot, but it's gotten some.
After they left, my adrenaline dropped and I was done. I was just-
you know, Judy, you spend a lot of time there.
There's still a lot to do.
Yeah, I know there is. I know. Moving, that's it. Anything for I want to report. Our claims will be here at some point, so we can approve. Yeah, why don't you do that? Let me pause for a minute. When we get the claims and the reports, I'd like you to look through them before we approve them. So we can skip that and when Shannon comes back over. So Brian, while we're looking at the reports and the bills, do you want to do your,
Yeah, Adam
Distractor.
52 is at Fusler's this morning. I had scheduled that a while back
That's a good idea.
for them to look at the refrigerator and also kind of get a general overview
Yeah.
of that. We notified the hospital this morning to say we're not taking transfers right now. We're going to use the rescue truck from Liberty Field that we have.
so you've done that with Liberty.
That's correct. Yes,
What's that costing us?
nothing. A sign,
Yeah, we
That
could
we
have
had.
sign.
right,
We'll talk about
that
that.
we had
We'll talk.
Yeah, discussed earlier.
Okay.
Anyway, got an email this morning and I sent our license to the insurance company where our go live date is started this morning, so we can start billing. As of today, we've run 3 calls so far, ran 2 of those initially, and they were in one last night.
Oh, FYI, the
Sure.
Quince Railroad crossing, you cannot cross it. So if you have something out that way, you need to go spruce or
Thank you.
Open up my door.
So I do have a question on the bills. We, I know we approved the locks and the cameras. Guess I didn't realize that we approved payment ahead of time before they're installed.
Pardon me?
why would we pay ahead of time?
That one is when we discussed, he had to have 50%.
Okay,
He
Yeah.
had to have 50% ahead of time, just because of ordering equipment.
Yeah, he even said that right here.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
is that the 50%
Um,
part of the whole, that's a total?
Repeat that?
I say it is, right, at 10,000.
Yeah, that's a total.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
total, yeah, because it was only supposed to be like
Yeah.
50%. Yeah.
Yeah, he had asked for 50%.
So what, do we
Is he-
change that?
Is he already doing that? Is he got that?
He's not gonna do it until he receives, hopefully, the 50% today, so he can get it ordered.
Okay.
If he doesn't, then.
It's on there to be paid, the check. Okay.
So Shannon, can we pay half and hold half back?
Or she probably already.
Yeah, she's already cut the checks.
I think in
but
this case, they've already cut the check. he explained in depth how he wanted to do this.
Right.
I think this one time I don't have a problem because they need it.
And we do have,
Right.
he did put a camera up for a drug cabinet, so
It is.
that's
live,
part,
it
part is done.
Okay.
It is live, so,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
and the inspectors, they did like that, so.
Yeah.
It was good.
I didn't mean to throw a monkey wrench into everything, but
You didn't, the check's already been written. And,
And we had an in-depth discussion about it last
Yeah,
week, so we
we did.
understand what's going on.
If I can bring up, I'm assuming, we haven't received our base radio from CARE. And I had heard,
We need to talk to
That,
Chauncey ASAP about that.
well, that Brian Hunger was supposed to be receiving the garage door openers. as
Is
well
Chauncey available?
as, the
Brian
base
Hunger is
radio
getting what garage doors are?
From the hospital.
So,
That CARE has.
Oh, for you,
Maybe he'll
the
respond
hospital.
to the base
Correct.
radio.
Okay, I wasn't, I
yeah,
wasn't clear.
because
He's
I don't-
delivering all of that.
wasn't
I
Bob
was
gonna
told
get
by
his check
Ben
today, and if we
McLennan
don't have that
and Mike
radio,
Long
we
this
still have to
morning,
do
they
it.
informed me that the base radio was going to be also presented to Brian Hunger from Bob, and then Brian Hunger is gonna give it to us.
What? Okay, I have a little question.
Yeah.
Why?
I
mean,
know,
That's how they agreed for the exchange, I guess. I'm
no,
not
Then-
sure.
we had
We need
wanted to
talk
get the
to
base radio up front. That's
try
what
to
we
call them.
assumed.
Well, isn't it kind of important that you guys have it?
Oh,
Yes, we definitely need
absolutely.
it. Needs to be put
Comms
in
are
ASAP.
important.
Okay. Okay, so this,
If he
that's a
has-
work in progress right now.
Yes.
We will not leave here until we know what's going on.
and
Because,
just for the record, that base radio had never belonged to the ambulance service agency. It was a county-owned radio from the get-go,
Right.
in Midwest.
Okay. but we're gonna let Chauncey deal with that.
Right.
We just,
And they had to use it until midnight, Saturday
Right.
night, so,
okay,
I mean, it's a radio that.
yeah, but
We
it's,
just need to
it's
make
almost
sure-
9:30 Monday morning.
Yes.
that-
We
yeah.
get it before Bob gets his check, which is
Yeah.
happening today.
He's getting it today.
Cause then we'll have to call Dean from Electronic App so he can come down and it'll still work inside the building.
Uh-huh.
But he said with like all the concrete and everything else, they may need to put an antenna up on the outside to get better
Mhm.
reception or
Well,
whatever.
Damien needs more stuff to do.
Yes.
Exactly.
Do-
And if Damien's not available, we've got the roads department.
I actually may have an antenna that I can put an adapter onto that and get it
Uh-huh.
temporary.
I think it would be, because they may not have anybody at the building, so.
Did he leave?
whoever
No,
it
he's
is
just
wanna-
upstairs. I can go past him too if he doesn't respond.
We
Okay.
need to know this, like,
Yeah.
before Bob gets his check.
We're not gonna leave
We've
here.
been using handhelds.
Yeah, because we have
and
no
things, so.
communication. Like, we have to run out sometime, like if our radios aren't, like, that's what I'm dealing with today, but we have to run out to the bay just to use the ambulance.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like I said, we're gonna have an answer before we leave.
Okay.
Yes.
We need to have that
I
answer.
think the check's at the hospital, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll go ask
Well,
him.
clearly, I don't know.
And I'm pretty
mailing
sure
the check
If I was getting a check, I'd be there at 8 AM this
I
morning.
know, it's probably.
Yeah.
And we'll figure that out.
Yes.
Okay,
But
We
it's-
cannot
it's a
sit
work in
here and-
progress.
huh?
It's a work in progress.
That's right. It is. It is.
Oh, I thought, when I was working on the title on Friday with Abby, she mentioned, do you still have the auditor's credit card? They'd like it back.
Yes, from
The
Walmart.
Walmart.
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, it is sitting on my desk in a little slot. I know exactly where it's at.
I know they would like
Forgot
it
to bring
back.
it. I'll get it over there.
Anything? Whoa, here we go. Anything else, Brian?
No, not as of today. I'm working with the insurance company to start getting our,
So at 6:30 this morning, I felt sorry because I pulled in like I always pull in.
right.
Okay. And I noticed that Randy Bates, I could see in his bedroom window. Maybe we should get curtains.
Yes,
We are in the process of hanging that up.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We're getting there.
Susie, are you a
Yeah.
beeper?
Huh?
Are you,
She
are
was
you
a
a
peeping
beeper?
Tom.
I am. I don't care. I am. In fact, if I had my wallet, I'd show you.
Problematic when she turned the bright lights on so she could see back.
No, but you know what? Full disclosure, if that hadn't been Randy, if it had been one of these guys, I'd have honked, waved.
Right?
It's being recorded too, just for people.
Right.
I mean.
No, I just think, what are you gonna put on those windows? I was concerned.
We're gonna probably get a blind for that
Okay,
one,
good,
yes.
and I do know, yesterday, Aaron Savita, one of our new medics,
Yeah.
he came down,
Is he the
he's
guy
on
from
shift.
Polk County?
Yes.
I talked to him this morning.
Yep,
He was
he
up
came down.
outside.
He
Yeah.
actually got some curtains to put on those windows in one of the bedrooms, because even with those shades, those parking lot lights and everything.
Oh,
is just
yeah,
shining
yeah,
everywhere. So
yeah.
we're just gonna get curtains and get that
Okay.
stuff put up. We're slowly getting there. So we're in progress. It'll be done hopefully soon.
So
We can buy him some sleep masks.
Right.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
we're asked the
Just get
board,
some, never mind.
we're asked the
We'll get
board to
some.
consider, and I don't know what it would look like, I don't know who you go to, I don't know anything about it, but something on, at least on the front doors on the outside, not necessarily the inside ones, but something that, I don't know if it's clings, I don't know what it is, but you would put on the doors that allows them to see out, but
There
don't
is
see in.
reflected, it's reflective. I know.
Okay, I don't know, just.
Kind of like they have at the law enforcement center.
Well,
Yeah, I suppose.
the window people, they can make stuff like that.
What's that like, Damien?
Basically, it's like a two-way or a one-way. We can see out, but they won't be able to
Correct.
see in, which is kind of basically part of a safety thing too. So they
Oh, yeah.
can't, like, if something's happening, they can't see us if we're trying to like scurry to go do like our
Right.
plan.
Can Lori
Um,
Fry help with any of this
But
stuff?
we can,
What's that?
Lori Fry, I mean, she does that old Blaine's business.
well, if she has the right stuff.
And she might have stuff for that. I don't know if you,
Yeah, 'cause
I've got her
if-
number if you want.
Yeah,
If you wanna give it to
yeah,
her,
we can
check
ask
it out.
her, or it's either that or Schroeder's and a town.
She's local, that's who.
Well, I know,
And
that's
she
what
might,
I'm saying, if
she
she
might
doesn't
be
have it,
faster
then
since she's.
I have other places too that.
Damien, in my mind, you should contact the one that can get it done first.
Right, I mean, if that's
So,
what,
you know-
we'll contact her, if she
See
doesn't
what
have
she
it,
does.
then
And we'll go
if you
from
have,
there.
if you want me to, then I can proceed and move on to stuff.
Hey, Susie,
Yo, who am I
Chris.
talking to?
it's Chris.
But I
Hey,
don't see you.
well, that's a reason. I don't
I
know.
still
why.
don't see you. Wait,
Anyway,
here you
well, it
come.
doesn't matter. I look the same as I did last week. Okay, so here's the update. I got a text. Brian, I got this from Shelley
Okay.
a little bit ago. She was on. I don't know if she's still on, but anyway, the garage door openers are at the hospital with Brian. So for the ambulance, so that way they know that the garage door openers are there.
Okay.
So you'll want to check with the administrative wing or call and ask if they can leave them in the ER for you or something. So
Sure.
okay. Anyway, that's all. Thanks. Oh,
Okay, thanks,
one other-
Chris.
yeah, one other quick question. I know I heard Lee say he's coming to the Board of Health meeting tonight. Are you guys, Susie, Dee, are you guys coming? I just need to.
Oh,
kinda
I
know
wouldn't
some-
miss this, Chris.
All right, I just need to know how to have the room set up so we have enough, copies
all
and
coming.
stuff, whatever.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I know it's on your agenda. I was just asking. Okay, thanks. Bye. See you
Chris,
tonight.
is that it?
Yeah, that's
You're
it.
under a minute so far. I'm shocked. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
She can't see me very smart. Anyway,
Chelsea can't give us any more information about the radio, so I don't know, potentially call the Brian.
Shelley, is that you?
Yeah,
Hi.
it is me. Hey, we don't have the base radio.
Okay, well, that is something we
Thanks.
need to get done ASAP.
Shelley, thanks a lot.
Does
Yes.
anybody know, is Mr. Libby coming to town?
I would think you would if
The
he wants to get
transfer
his
of the
check.
funds?
I do not know.
Dee, why don't you call him and ask him?
You want me to
Call
call
Bob
him?
Libby and ask him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're on that.
I
No.
don't know. I got his number. Let me see.
Shelley, how are you today?
I
I'm
don't,
good, thanks. So he was here earlier and dropped the garage door openers off, but I don't know if he's still around somewhere.
Oh.
She's got.
Okay.
Dee is calling.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
so we just need the base radio.
Yeah, we need that base radio that's out there and that was in the charting and about that.
Just
I
remember,
heard you say that the radio.
left foot, right foot.
You know what?
They are working intermittent.
I don't have his number, I just got his email.
Occasionally, we can get all pages through it, we can hear all traffic, but we just
see
can't
what's bothering
at
us.
times respond through those radios to the law center, they can't hear us.
And is that, so how do we fix that?
No, different one.
That's what I gotta get.
That's what we gotta get with Dean and
Bob
figure out what we
Libby's
can do, because right now we're running out to the ambulance, turning the key on and going to the
Send to
radio.
D.
Okay.
And the base radio won't make any difference in that.
The base radio will help because it does have a way of us communicating with the law center. It's got a mic on it. We push a button and say we copy and they'll be able to hear us. It will
1293.
help our situation. We'll be able to respond from inside the crew quarters instead of running to the garage to answer.
So we are not the experts. Are you, this is good with you and you?
We're gonna get it done.
Okay.
Yeah, I've asked Damien to take the lead on this.
I'm gonna ask silly questions. The other day when I talked to Brian, he had 2 calls overnight. You just had one within, since then?
Yeah, we only had one yesterday. Sundays are usually very slow days for us.
That's interesting.
Most of the time, I don't know why, it's kind of odd to me, but it usually is, but we did have one like at
Because everybody's
10:30
at
last night.
Everybody sleeps in or they go to church?
And occasionally we have to go to church too on Sundays, somebody will
Right.
call us when they,
And then-
you know, they must have said too much and passed out or something, I don't know. Who knows? I feel like- But we have 3 calls to send a billing company today, so.
Well, we already did the first 2.
Nice. Are you calling?
You
I
don't?
thought
I
he just
got it.
gave it to you.
I'm sending it to her. You have an iPhone? You have iPhone? Okay. So,
Just write it down.
Yeah, okay, right here.
You know, I'll make a motion to do the claims. 200,000, so. How am I gonna do this?
Sure. you're gonna-
$277,064.42.
Repeat that.
Here you go.
277,064.42.
I just sent it to you.
We have a motion to approve the
There it is.
claims and reports. Do I have a second?
Sure.
We have a motion and a second. All in
Say a
favor?
second, I said, sure, you can have a motion. I wasn't going to. Sure. Go ahead.
We'll talk later. All those in favor,
Ever behave, sir?
signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Getting excited because Christmas is right around the corner.
You know, speaking of which, we were in Missouri yesterday and we went to Home Depot because my Brandon and they were wanting to get some more Halloween decorations and we walked in and Home Depot doesn't have any Halloween decorations up anymore.
Hey, Bob,
All
it's
the
Steve
Christmas
Nicholas
stuff,
from Jefferson County. How
all
are
the
you?
inflatables. I left. I
Do
said,
you know, can we get that base radio? Yeah, the
Yes,
base
sir.
radio.
I was in the charging room.
Okay, Lee's gonna leave temporary to another meeting. He will return.
It's always been a county radio.
Where's it at?
Hang on. Is it okay if I put you on speaker? You wanna jump on Zoom? Okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker. All right, but this is Bob Levy.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Bob.
Yep, no, Care Ambulance has always bought all of their base radios. The only radios that the county owned was the one that I gave back.
Now, the one that was
And-
sitting in the charting room where the computers were at, that sit on
I'm
that
sorry,
shelf
I
in the
can't hear you.
corners. The one that is sitting in the room that had the computers in it where crew members wrote their charts. In that
Yep.
corner on that shelf, that black radio belongs to the county. That's
No,
always
no, it
been a
doesn't.
county radio.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
That radio
it came
is one
from
that we
Midwest
have.
Ambulance. When they had it and it came from, the county's always owned that radio.
Hey, Bob,
Yeah,
this is Susie again. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try to figure this out.
Yeah.
We might be calling you back. Thank you.
Bye.
bye-bye.
I'm telling you right now, that is a county radio, that county
I know,
radio
Judy,
came
but
from.
let's not do it in this.
I know, I'm
Okay.
just,
Yeah. We need,
we've
all
gotta
right,
have some way.
so
to
the
speak.
worst case scenarios is we need another radio.
We may not get one for 6 months. Pagers are 6 to, at least
6 to 9 months.
6 to
on
9
that.
months out per game from
And
electronic.
how much do they cost?
A pager will cost you about what?
A pager can be anywhere from $600 to $1,200.
And radios are about $5,000.
Brett Farrell said that now one board will help us with that.
Sure,
So
but,
we'll see what we can do between now and then to get some.
okay, but in the meantime, we have a Band-Aid approach and you know how
Well,
to
we're
figure it
trying
out.
to
I'll reach out to Brett and. see
And
if we
you,
can-
we'll talk to Brett and you
Yes.
will let us know what's
I will.
going on.
and Elizabeth will talk to Chauncey.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
Well, he doesn't know much about this.
I will tell you that base radio has been there since I started EMS 20 years ago.
So,
He's on.
So, I mean,
Hey, Brett.
Hey, so just an idea on the cost of a base radio. Like I said, you can't get them, every kind of radio's back ordered. It's 6 months out to get some, but we just bought Lockridge Fire a base radio and the price was $5,500 for that base radio for their fire station. So just thought
how
I'd do
soon
that.
are they getting that one, Brett?
They've got theirs. They talked to me last spring about getting one. So it just got installed. I just got the bill for it.
Brett, this is Susie. Is there any way we can speed this up for these guys to get that base radio?
You're at the will of Motorola. I mean, I'll do some checking around to see if anybody's might have a base radio. If they don't get this one back, I'm a little confused on, I mean, it ought to be in some inventory list somewhere whose radio that is. If everything was done properly, there should be an inventory on who owns what radio.
We will follow up on that, and if you can help us in any way, I would appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. I'll make some phone calls. If you guys keep me in the loop of where you're at on that base radio, and we'll see. Normally they don't have loaners, but the problem is not talking about the radios, but these guys know that the handhelds only, the trucks are repeater radios, so they're handhelds. That's why they're going out in the bays to have to use those. So yeah, so I've talked to Brian. I'll help out any way I can, but just wanted to give you the price on that. If you decide to order one tomorrow, it's going to cost you probably around $6,000.
Brett, thank you.
And by the
very
way,
much.
the 911 board, that is an avenue to help pay for that radio, if that is the path that we take.
Okay,
Thank
okay.
you.
Thanks, Brett.
We all will be in touch because we all need to be kept in the loop on this one. Thank you, Brett, very much.
No problem.
So I would think the first step we would need to do is Chauncey should ask for some sort of inventory list of what was ours and what isn't. There has to be
There has-
something somewhere.
wouldn't
that
it be under
shows-
county insurance?
I've reached out to Abby as well about getting one, and they don't have one.
A list.
That's correct.
Okay, but you haven't told us that.
No, I have before, when we discussed about what equipment that CARE had, and what equipment was in our name, besides the obvious, the Lucas devices and the handheld radios and county maps and stuff like that. That's the stuff we did get back.
Sure, sure.
But as far as a serial number of what was transferred and what took over, there doesn't seem to be anything written down.
So obviously I was exploring other parts of the building, so.
How was that meeting? Turn out okay?
Yeah.
He's claiming that he bought that base radio. Is what the
Is he
conversation was.
still
that
on
we
the
had
line?
about.
The-
Oh, and there's no one.
I just said the first step we need to do is get with Chauncey and figure out, and Chauncey can figure out if there's a list somewhere.
Would Julie Greason know? Or would that be something that would, I know,
That might be, but we should contact her through Chauncey
Okay,
or you,
okay.
if you're ready.
I can call her after the meeting, but
Yeah.
I
And let's
just
do that.
remember that was a conversation that had been
Okay,
on the board
Well,
agenda.
so why don't we start with Dee, since she's on that board thing, no stool. And she can contact Julie, so none of us have to. And find out what's going on.
Is that the one that was clear back to Bill and Ray?
Yes.
Yes, that one's been in this
And that's
county
why you're
forever.
not going to have, because the transfer took place.
Like 3
Bill
years.
and
ago.
Ray.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily from Bill and Ray, but when Bill and Ray dissolved. That's where Midwest came into being, and they assumed not ownership, but possession of that base radio, and it's sat out there for 7 years. The old base. And then that was,
And then when CARE took over, it was brought to us in a box from the old building to CARE's.
what is the
From Greg Morton.
lifespan of the
Yes,
piece
from
of
Greg
equipment? It sounds like it's pretty old anyway, maybe.
I mean, and it still works
It
good.
worked great.
It works great. I mean,
and I was out there with Greg Morton, and I don't know if it was Bart, I don't remember who else was with us, it was somebody else.
because they brought us that and the handhelds that night.
See, I think Bert would probably know if it's ours too.
So I guess we need to find out who can make it clear where that radio is and who, and because it sounds like we do own it.
Cause it sounds like Bart should, like, cause, I mean, Greg would have had that and then transferred that.
Because I was with Greg when we picked up all the radios.
So I'm wondering if it isn't something that Bart would have somewhere.
Mhm.
I'll reach
I
out
think
to
we need
Greg.
to start with Judy.
I think
Well, yeah,
Bart's
but
already
I'm
been
just saying he had
working on
something in
that.
office. Cause he had, I know when he originally bought it, if he did, cause Greg always had all the paperwork and he had a list. Cause when I went down there, when Midwest was leaving, cause I was in charge of that. So I went and he had a list of what the county had purchased. And by that point, obviously, they had lost like 3 handhelds and everything,
Who's they?
Midwest.
Okay,
So this is
sure.
4 years, 5 years ago. So that's where we're at. So I'm wondering if that list may have, Bart may have it. I don't,
I'll reach out to Bart.
yeah, and see what
I'm
that
texting
is.
him.
You're texting Bart.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just assuming I don't, cause Greg had all of that inventory, so I don't. I mean, it's been a while now, so. Also, can I ask what, I need all the maintenance records. From
That just took place on 52.
like those records, and then just basically ever since, like, we've been gone. Like, I didn't get any maintenance records of what they've done.
Right,
those
we used to get
rates.
them at our. through the
Yeah, I used
school
to do
meeting.
them, and then, but now I would just like to know what's been done.
Right,
And where we're at on
right.
services, where we're at on tires, cause I don't wanna sit here and be like, well, when were these tires, when were they rotated?
Right,
Cause I don't wanna go in and be like, well, if they're not rotated and they're gap or smoothed over, then I don't wanna go out and spend $10,000 already on tires.
Well, to my knowledge, this last time when it went to Mount Pleasant was, until then, things have been going to Fessler's.
Yeah.
I don't,
And Fessler
so
should.
they
Right,
should
and
have
that's,
a history.
And we
Right.
probably should ask Julie
I'm just
Gleason
gonna
for a
send-
copy of the bill that Bob Libby gave her.
because basically they always
Most
give a
recent, yeah.
detail of what they did.
Yeah, would you
And
ask
what was
Julie
I
for that?
actually, I think I got that.
I know they have a list of what was done, but after the fact, you get another invoice that
Mhm.
has everything, what was,
When you're talking to.
like this
I'd
bolt
like
was
to
put in,
know
that bolt was put in.
Whether or not there's any warranty on that work that was done. It was just done.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is there warranty done from what they just did? Cause I mean, I'm in limbo with things, like trying to, in my head to get the
So
system back down.
basically, you just need to know what,
Yes, and
you can
what
find
we've done.
everything out from Fessler's, you just need to know
Yeah.
what Whaley's.
I mean, and I could, if I have, from the agency standpoint, if I can go to Fessler's, if it's all right, cause I don't want people, I'm just asking. To get all the information from the last year and a half.
For your file.
Yeah, just for, so then we have it, so then, okay, you know, like if something happens, okay. Was this something that contributed way back, just so then we have an idea of what's
Well,
going on.
Damien, why
You
don't you
can
see?
ask, but I won't guarantee we get anything.
That's fine, I just wanted to ask so the board
Oh, yeah.
knows
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
this is where I'm at,
Yeah.
going on.
Totally
Absolutely.
understandable.
Yeah,
Whichever one you said, I think Festus probably has a
Yeah.
record of everything they've done.
and they should, but I mean, sometimes there was stuff that he was doing without knowledge.
Mhm.
So I'm just saying, I just wanna know exactly what was done to those rigs if something.
You know,
was
Damien,
done.
in a perfect world,
We would have
we'd
it.
have it, but it's not a perfect world, and as long as we have as much as we
Right, and
can.
that's all I
You
want.
know,
Like, I
Yeah,
don't
there'll be
wanna,
some bumps in the road, and this
Right.
is one of them.
I just don't wanna cause ripples that's already happened, I want them gone. Like, I want glass.
what?
We didn't even
It's
take
like-
part in the plan on that, with bumps in the road, and we're talking about.
Or like,
Oh dear, can we edit this?
yeah,
Hey, don't be picking on the road department.
different count.
Hey, at least this isn't a road closure. it's just-
Right?
Yeah, it's just a bump, not a road closure.
Do you have any idea where that base radio came from originally, who they bought it from?
Literal, right?
I don't even know what brand it is, to be
It's a
honest.
Motorola.
It's been, I started out with that radio 20-some years ago, so.
It didn't have a, there's a lot of radios, they have the tag.
I
The
don't
sticker on
know.
it that says where they were bought from.
Get mine on the back of it, but I don't remember. the
Yeah.
brand.
Probably more.
Old enough that we had to keep feeding the hamsters.
But like I said, I do know that it did come from the county because like you said, like Greg Morton brought it to us when Midwest quit and turned it over to us that night at CARE.
I'm guessing maybe the sheriff's office has some record of it. I'm only guessing, however, we should get this solved like today, because if we need to order one,
Yeah.
We need to get one
we
ordered.
need to talk to
Yeah,
Brad.
absolutely.
I probably say we just need to start down that path just in case.
CYA,
Yeah.
and I'll see if I can.
Let us know, Damien, okay?
Yeah.
Anything else to talk about?
Did we approve the claims?
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, you were,
that was
You were
mumbled about how to
exploring.
pronounce
you
it.
you were here of the meeting.
Oh, I was exploring, okay. The bumps in the road.
Right.
So the next item is a site visit to 1990 West Burlington. I don't know what these guys think, but I would be all for waiting a week to do that until
Sounds
the
good.
inspection's done, the painting's done. Let's
Yep.
get a few more things done before we go out and
Yeah.
are critical about this isn't done, this isn't done. We already know.
It's a good idea.
Well, you could come into the building, it looks 10 times better than what it did when you guys were out there.
Oh, yeah.
We busted our butts yesterday.
I know,
Yes.
you
There's
were
nothing in the
Friday.
bedrooms,
I just wanna
everything's
make
pretty
sure-
much organized, except for my
Friday.
office.
Was I there? I
You
wasn't
were
there
there.
Friday. I didn't go in the building.
You didn't go in the
I
building?
didn't go in the building on Saturday.
No, it was just, Davey, get over here when I was on the phone and dealing with air gas and I was on the phone with Shelley and then on the phone with the hospital and then I was being like,
Bart's gonna check.
I needed 20 different. Thank you for running out.
Octopuses have all kinds of.
Right, why can't I have all
All
these?
right, I'm gonna send the three-legged notes to an email about the records.
Thank you. Oh, I guess I'm in your channel.
That's all right, I can just grab it.
You're good.
And you guys are gonna check on the curtains or whatever.
Yes, I will go to Walmart today and I will go get some curtains and curtains.
I have some tarps for $1.99.
You know, you might wanna call Lori first, because she has access to blinds that have that black stuff behind them.
Oh, okay.
You might wanna explore that,
Okay, we'll leave.
because I think curtains, you're gonna spend a lot on curtains and you still may not solve the problem. Because sometimes you can see through.
You know,
curtains.
these blinds, look, they do the job right there.
See, I just got some, they're not like, well,
Those are
they're
very
kind of like
expensive
that
wood
at home.
blinds.
And they would work real well, because you can open them and
So
shut
good.
them, and they weren't.
Real expensive.
I did
Real.
several
We'll get a
windows.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
it was less than $1,500. They're not expensive and they look nice.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
I'll get on
and
it.
I've made a new committee. Leah's in charge of the blinds and curtains committee.
Chop chop, Lee.
So
Get your L's
call
looking.
bowling motors and get those blackout blinds like I have in my RV.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Why don't you just get a blanket and some nails?
Well, that's what I also
Oh,
in the
no,
car.
no, no.
Not that
Nice,
pretty building
Joe.
now that it's been done.
It'll block out.
Okay,
Yeah,
we,
do it, turn now.
not right yet. We need to we're gonna postpone the site visit. We're all good until we do the public health thing tonight at 6. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.